I am sure you have heard what happened to the very unfortunate MCA, member of county assembly, in Malindi. Alivamiwa na wananchi. And just the other day, there was the incident involving Kimani Ichungwa, who was confronted by his constituents, and his bodyguards had to move with speed to remove him from the place. Folks, it is very clear what the mood of the country is. And in fact, this Malindi case should be a cause of great concern. You see, people at the coast are normally very peaceful people. That is one of the last places in the country where you'd expect the public to be so angry. There's the ocean there. There is the Mombasa Raha mantra. People are relaxed. People are taking it easy. And in case you try and speed up things, comedians have told us, coast people will tell you, kama uko na haraka si ungekuja jana. But you get my point. Now I'm sure some of us are wondering, what is Kumekucha Chris talking about? The mood of people, so what? What impact does that have? Well, I totally understand anybody who wants to approach this from that angle. Because once upon a time I was a young man, and I had not yet learned that very big things happen from small tiny details which many people ignore. However, mood is not small in politics. Mood has decided too many general elections all over the world. Mood has removed so many regimes so suddenly from power, especially the kind of mood circulating in the country called Kenya. Folks, we need to sit up and pay attention, I assure you, because the ugly mood amongst Kenyans, I fear, will not wait for 2025 to go very far, let alone 2027. Something will give. Something will happen. And by the way, before we proceed, allow me to acknowledge our sponsors for today's show. A plot in Ruai for sale, an 8th. And actually this one is a quick sale. The location, imagine it has an exit to the bypass and Kangundo Road. And that's not all. It's right behind Naivas Supermarket. Right. I advise that you move with speed if you've been looking for a plot somewhere in Nairobi. Now the owner is asking for only 4 million. Of course it has a clean title. And it is ideal for residential or commercial use. For instance, you can put up flats. Very ideal for this particular location. Please use the telephone number you see on your screens right now in case you're interested, and get more details, negotiate, and get into a deal. Right. Older Kenyans will remember the mood in the country in the run-up to the 2002 very memorable general elections. Those, of course, were the elections that removed mighty KANU from power. The vote for the National Rainbow Coalition and Mwai Kibaki was more than overwhelming. Okay? And it reflected the mood in the country. People were fed up with Moi and KANU. And so, although Moi himself was not a candidate in those general elections, anything Moi was suggesting, anything which Moi touched, the people did not want to hear, they did not want to see, they did not want to vote for. Of course, Moi's candidate, the man he had very unexpectedly picked to take over the presidency, was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Now that piece of information is very, very useful and very fascinating, because currently the truth is anything associated with Ruto, you're looking for trouble from the people of Kenya. Let me give you a very simple, very recent example. President Ruto visited Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta at his Gatundu home. Now, what was the reaction of Kenyans? Hey, Kenyans did not want to hear. Kenyans did not want to believe that Uhuru had actually hosted Ruto at his home. Now, of course, this defies logic. Even if you have squabbling neighbors, yeah, you're all living in some neighborhood, and then you see one neighbor who hates another neighbor knocking on their door, going to visit them, you're not going to conclude that there's going to be a handshake, are you? You're not going to hate that neighbor just because he was visited by somebody who you do not like, and maybe by somebody who everybody does not like. No, that defies logic. However, it is important to appreciate that mood overrides logic. When somebody is in a bad mood, logic and common sense is shoved aside. And this should be the perfect illustration for anybody who's doubting. Yeah? This should be the perfect illustration to tell us very clearly what the real mood of Kenyans right now is. In fact, that visit by Ruto has had such an effect that it has caused a dent in the popularity of former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The first thing that has happened since he left the presidency that has actually started to cause a dent in his popularity. Just a mere visit from President Ruto. And remember, Uhuru did not go to State House. Uhuru did not meet Ruto at a neutral ground. Ruto visited Uhuru. And you know, us Africans, tunakaribisha wageni, hata kama ni adui. We Kenyans are polite enough to welcome all kinds of people into our homes, even when we know what those people are all about. It's a very Kenyan thing. And the former president is a Kenyan. But nobody wants to hear that. But the mood of Kenyans right now, nobody wants to hear that. Hakuna mtu anataka kusikia hiyo. So, where is this taking us? This ugly mood of Kenyans. Where is it most likely going to take us? Where are we going to end up? And right now, most politicians are in hiding. They cannot face their constituents. That is the truth. Right across the country. Even President Ruto, these days, is very careful. All his functions have to be carefully organized, carefully orchestrated for it to be successful. For the very first time in Kenyan history, a president of the Republic of Kenya is avoiding the public. And that is significant. Because even Jomo Kenyatta, just after the assassination of popular Nyandarua North legislator J.M. Kariuki, even then, Jomo Kenyatta would appear before the public, anywhere in the country, and there would be no problem. And indeed he did. Shortly after Kenyans discovered that J.M. Kariuki was no more, Kenya's first president walked along Moi Avenue in a show of strength and even addressed the people. And at that time, most Kenyans were in a very ugly mood, very angry at the government. Even Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, when Kenyans were already fed up, could still go out and meet the people. Mwai Kibaki the same, Uhuru Kenyatta the same. But right now, hey, Ruto cannot meet the public without very elaborate security and other arrangements. So, where are we headed? Let me start answering that question by asking another question. How do you govern if you cannot meet the public and you're in politics? You're a member of parliament. You can't go to your constituency and address the people. How do you do your job? You are a president, and of course you can do your job very effectively without meeting the public all the time. But then, how do you do your job when people out there are so angry? Their mood is very ugly. They want you gone like yesterday. How do you govern the country? Please give me some ideas. I don't have a clue how somebody can pull that one off. It is now crystal clear that if somebody somewhere thought that photographs of Ruto and Uhuru together in the media could do something to cool off things in the Mount Kenya region, it was a terrible miscalculation. Because what the people of Mount Kenya are now saying, what the Kenyans there are now saying, to quote one lawyer, who I believe was speaking the mind of many from the region, yeah, even if Ruto brings back Hero Dead and Kimathi from the dead, and he supports him, the people of Mount Kenya are saying, Tawe, no, it is too late. They will never, they do not want to hear anything about President Ruto. By the way, about this Ruto visit to Uhuru, I have received multiple confirmations about what we discussed in my earlier video as being the real reason for the 3-hour meeting between President Ruto and former President Uhuru. Yeah, it was about money. Okay, I have received multiple confirmations on this since I published that video. And in case you missed it, you'll find a link in the description area below this video. You can catch up with it. Yeah, confirmed information, reconfirmed information, which is very scary. It seems that the Ruto regime is staggering towards a very serious financial disaster that is of course going to affect all of us. You know, the truth is, the clues, the telltale signs were there all along, because Kenyans just needed to ask themselves the question, what would make President Ruto, because Kenyans know his character very well by now, what would make Ruto swallow his pride and go and visit Uhuru? What? What is this thing that is so serious that Ruto would go against the grain of his own character and do something very out of his character? Money, of course. Well, the writing is now very clearly on the wall. Kenyans, we need to brace ourselves because there is something coming. And that thing which is coming is not pleasant. And of course, to make matters worse, there is still this issue of the current mood in the country, which will not help things. Definitely it will not help things. By the way, it seems President Ruto already has a reaction to this anger amongst Kenyans. We have seen in recent times the way he's talking about his employer, because the public are the real employers of a politician. The people of Kenya are the real employers of President Ruto. Now, when you start insulting your employer, like the recent quote where we were told, anybody who is against Ng'ombe Kudungwa Shindano is stupid. And this one comes hot in the heels of the other Adani remarks directed at the employers of the president, a majority of whom have never seen the inside of an airport. You remember that one? Clearly, we're already seeing a reaction from State House. And instead of listening to the people, listening to employer, the response is also angry. So the people are angry, the person leading them is also annoyed. What is going to come out of that? I think it is rather obvious. A confrontation very soon. Not a good one. By the way, thank you so much to all those of you who have responded in this season of gifting Chris Kumekucha. Yours truly. I really appreciate from the bottom of my heart. And you can be sure it goes a long way towards the mission of a better Kenya, and what I do on this channel, and what I've been doing for almost 20 years. And for those who are still on their way, you can see details on your screens right now, which you can use for this very worthy cause, which greatly assists me in what I'm doing here. Asanteni sana, and God bless. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.